Alright, welcome to round 14 of the FRL Division 1 Championship. Here we are at a very iconic track in Formula 1 history, Suzuka in Japan. Now here, just last weekend, Max Verstappen secured his title, the 2022 championship, here at the circuit. And this week, Max Verstappen could secure his title here as well. 8 points between him and second place Henny. So if Max simply wins and gets fastest lap, that would be enough to secure the title. Now, of course, it's not going to be the easiest part to do. This track can be pretty treacherous to make your way around. And, of course, again, it's a very iconic one, but it's also a decently technical one. And speaking of, we're going to take a quick guide for you around this circuit. So, the Suzuka International Racing Course boasts in total... Oh, and that's the Faceburger actually spinning out. Okay, anyways, Faceburger's back on track, and we can get back on track to the little guide. The Suzuka International Racing Course boasts in total 18 corners to make your way around, and only one DRS zone, actually, down the pit straight. Everything else is just pure racing, even that long back straight after turn 14, which the AlphaTauri of Gio is making his way through. As you can see, it's a very long back straight. But no DRS, but honestly, the slipstream is so powerful there that DRS isn't really necessary. Now, there are plenty of overtaking spots. One of the ones Gio just passed through just before the chicane. It is possible to attempt a dive bomb. And of course, overtaken turn 1. Another decent overtaking spot is the hairpin at turn 11, though that one can be a little bit tricky, but again, turn 11 and the final chicane, they're both really heavy braking zones, so it can be risky to go through there, especially if you're behind. It's pretty easy to hit the back of the car in front of you. You need to be very careful with your braking zones, and even if you nail it, sometimes it still is not enough. This track can prove ruthless, especially in that first sector, where there is a whole S section from turns 3 to about 7. The other factor about it is that the curbs here are deadly, so you really need to be careful going through that S section, because if you get on too much of the curve, you're going to see your car spinning quite like that, actually. That's Faceburger who spun out. And that was a pretty massive hit as well, and that's unfortunate. It's going to be a lot of time lost. At the moment, Max is leading the session by a good few tenths, and pole position would be a brilliant way to continue this championship run and finish it out. Now, Gio's in the middle of his lap. Killer Boss invalidated his, and it is easy to invalidate, especially at turn 1, I would say. If you cut in just a little bit too deep, that's your lap done, but you want to cut in as deep as you can in order to get a good angle through. Gio's ready to finish up. We'll see what he can do. Because going across the line, Gio puts himself fourth, but we're going to run on board with Wonder Toast as he makes his way through this lap. So, already on their way, he wants to go in far into turn 1, finding a pretty good angle. Wonder Toast is going to get a nice and wide exit, then make his way through the azimuth. You can get away with running the curves a little, but not much more than that. For the moment, Wonder Toast is just doing everything he can to avoid it while taking a close line, and that is a pretty ideal one, going maybe a little bit wide around that turn. Now he's up to these two sharp right-handers. He wants to turn as close as he can, not ride that curve too long, then making his way past turn 9, and now through into the hairpin. He wants to brake as late as he can here and take a deep inside line. And now the other option is, oh, that was not a great exit. It's a little bit hard to find grip there at times, and Naruto's just kind of struggled to get back on the power there. But then going into turns 13 and 14, wants to go wide in between the two, go in deep on the exit so you can get a wide line. And now it's just pretty much a full sprint all the way up to turn 16. You can go flat out through this next corner, but it's that final chicane that's going to be essential. Braking as late as you possibly can is going to be important to nail that turn. And Electros did a good job running that final curve. You can't get away with that, and I think Electros is going to get away with a solid time going across. Yeah, he puts himself only 12th. I do think that a struggle of getting back on the power cost him a couple tenths at least. I think Henny is about to get ready to run on a lap, so we can take a look at what he's doing. At the moment, he's second in the championship, mainly due to his remarkable consistency. He's even missed a couple races, but he tends to always bring the car home and, brings in a good amount of points each and every time. At the moment, he's only 1,000th off of Zip's time, so if he gains just one, then he's going to put himself ahead. Well, technically, he would need to put in 2. All he needs is 2,000 to beat him. And already in Sector 1, looks like he's improving a lot to the F section, getting a smidge of oversteer there. Able to keep control of the car just fine. Finding the curve a little bit now into turns 8 and 9. He wants to cut the corner as much as he possibly can. Does just that. Goes deep onto the curb again. Gets a nice exit. That is a brilliant Sector 1. Now, I don't know if that purple is genuine, but he's already off to a great start, taking a deep line through turn 11, getting him a nice exit. Now, this lap is looking quite good, and I think he's going to find a lot of improvement here. But now it's a matter of not going too deep here, because that could invalidate. But he manages to stay within the limits. Wow, he took a lot of curve. I didn't know he could get away with that much. But it looks like he most certainly did. Yellow flag in sectors 3 and 1. Now already, Henny is 2 tenths up. At the moment, that's only enough to beat Zipman and nobody else, because the next driver ahead is 4 tenths up. So unless Henny can pull off a miracle in this final sector, he's not going to be gaining too much here. Still, it's going to be enough to put himself up at least one spot, and going across, he finds more than enough time to put himself into the top 5, and ahead of his teammate at P4. Oh, Jim has disconnected. He's been trying to join. He's joining a little bit late, but hopefully he can still get in the Ferrari seat and put in at least one lap. And he's on a lap, and already in Sector 1, it looks like he's 2 tenths up? Just about. That pace alone put him ahead of Wolfer, but at the moment, it's the 2 Alpines leading the session. At the moment, I think they're both going to be looking to get onto the front row. For sure, though, Max is finding more improvement, puts in a solid improvement to put himself a full 2 tenths clear of his teammate. Ghost, meanwhile, looks like he invalidated if that was an actual attempted lap, and I don't think it was. I think he was just doing a cooldown lap. But that was Slayer crossing the line. He managed to improve, and his teammate is right behind, so Slayer is being a good teammate there, getting right out of the way. Oh, Evo there, just massive oversteer there, had to steer a little bit to the left to correct, then got on the curb again. That's a lot of time lost in Sector 1 already. Having to kind of correct his car from oversteering too much out of control, that's absolutely hurt him. He's lost at least a couple tenths for that mistake. Despite that, though, he does improve. Still, if he didn't make that mistake on turn 2, then it could have fared a lot better. FaZe Burger has retired. Looks like he's completely crashed out. Oh, we did see him spin out a few times in qualifying already, so looks like, oh yeah, that car is just completely ruined. He probably rode too much of the curb and that just sent him in. Checking in on Dove. Dove has found a decent bit of improvement, but has he found even more in Sector 2? Well, I guess we'll see. And he has found an extra 10th now. If he just gets about one more, he could potentially beat Sketchy Bull's time and put himself up a spot. And he gets him the power nicely there. This is going to be an improvement. And it's going to be enough to indeed put himself ahead of Sketchy Bull and within sight of Zipman. But then there's a pretty sizable gap from Zip to Slayer, a good few tenths there. But right now, looking on pace are Envy, Max, Wolfer, and the two AlphaTauris. As this is technically one of Red Bull's... Oh, wow! Wolfer just crossed the line and nearly set a 29 flat. That is an incredible time. I don't know if that could be beaten. I imagine Max and Ghostly just saw that lap and probably had their jaws drop as much as mine did. That is absolutely insane. But Sketchy's firing a ton of improvement on his lap right now. Through Sector 2, he's found nearly a full half a second. He can gain even more time here. He's going to put himself well within range of that top 6 group. Rounding that final corner, crossing the line, he puts his pass into the top 5, ahead of both AlphaTauris. That was a fantastic effort by Sketchy Bull, putting himself firmly into those top spots. And Jim did manage to join in time to set a lap, but he's not going to have a ton of time to do that, so he can't afford to make any mistakes. Alrighty, he is taking a more aggressive line than an average driver would, even willing to take up a little bit of curve here and there in an effort to improve. With well over 3 minutes left to go, I think this could be his only shot, unless he overfueled to maybe attempt another run. Yeah, he doesn't have enough time to he doesn't have enough time to do one run, go in, and come back out. So this is going to really be his only shot. Meanwhile, his teammate looks like he completely spun out in the S section. Well, Ghostly's in an interesting situation. He's just completely off the track. It doesn't look like he suffered any damage. And so as long as he's quick, he can still make it. But those tires are definitely going to be a little bit torn up after that. And it looks like Sketchy Bolt saved up an extra amount of fuel so he can make another run. So if he really did, he could find even more improvement here. And if so, that would be a valuable amount of time gained. He could put himself potentially even in the top 3 if he can gain enough time for it. So it's going to be easier said than done, but I think he could very well do it. At the moment, he is looking confident in Sector 1, even more confident than before. And that fuel reduction is going to save him some weight too, and it does allow him to improve by nearly a 10. Meanwhile, Max is getting started on his final run, and many others getting ready to go on their last lap as well. And Jim is just slowing down, taking his time. I think he could potentially make it, but Taylor Box looks like he retired the pits. Wondertoast, though, he's finding a lot of improvement here. Unfortunately, he can't get ahead of anybody except for FaZe Burger, but still, it is a solid effort. And that's the McLaren of Wolfer going by. I think he's just going to try and set in one more lap. And he does have all the DRS saved, but Is he gonna make it to the line in time? He will, just in time to put in one last lap. Envy's going through as well. Sketchy Bull, I think he finished up. Did he improve? It's actually a little bit hard to tell. I think he did find a little improvement. Ghostly certainly will not, but Max is flying here. And he just might have gained enough to beat Wolfer. At the very least, he's going to do enough to beat Envy. Envy will not improve because he's in the gravel. But could Max steal pole position away from Wolfer, crossing the line? He does beat him by just a couple of hundredths. Meanwhile, though, Wolfer has already found a 10th in Sector 1. If he messes up this lap, he's not going to get pole. But all he needs is just that little bit of time. And that's the AlphaTauri of, I think, Gio, yep, getting out of the way of Wolfer, continuing on his run. Back with Wolfer, he's making his way through. In Sector 2, has he found more improvement? No, he's actually down a 10th. It looks like he lost some time in that sector. It's going to be all down to this final part of the lap to decide whether he's going to be able to take pole back or if he's going to have to settle for second. Crossing the line. Can he improve? No, he can't. Max manages to keep pole position, with Wolfer joining him on the front row, followed up by Envy and Ghostly, who's missing his front wing. Sketchy Bull will be heading up the third row, followed up by Gio. Gio's teammate heading alongside Jim in the fourth row. Slayer and Dub, Evo and Zipman, Pop and Wonder Toast, and Faceburger and Taylor Boss rounding out the grid. And as soon as everybody crosses the line or makes their way into the pits, that's going to be the end of qualifying. You can see everybody's being brought in now, and we're going to be able to finish up. And if you want to see past races that are recorded, we actually have it all saved on the FRL YouTube channel. If you want to see that, you can look in the About or Bio section of my Twitch, and you'll see a big fancy link for it. And you'll be able to click on that and see a lot of past races. We have everything from round 4 up to round 11 uploaded on there, and round 12 and 13 will be uploaded soon enough, and of course round 14, which we're currently in, will be uploaded soon as well. So feel free to stay tuned on there, but make sure to stay tuned in right now, as you're going to be heading into the main race shortly.